That's exactly so.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August 8th, 2022 Mason City Council meeting. I'm going to call this meeting to order and ask Stan to call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Nelson.
Here.
Councilmember Chance.
Here.
Councilmember Bradburn.
Here.
Councilmember Hackey.
Here.
Councilmember Grossman.
Here.
Councilmember Stricula.
Here.
Mayor Spaeth.
Here. Before we go on to the Pledge of Allegiance, I just wanted to say something. You know, right now we're having our meetings once a month, and it just seems like from one meeting to the next, there have been so many tragedies that are going on from in the country to nationwide to even locally. And here in our community, I know we've lost a lot of our members in our community, both young and old. We've had just recently, just even all around us, lots of shootings going on. And I know for me, it's very overwhelming. Our neighbors down to the south in eastern Kentucky, I mean, the devastation and the loss of life that they're dealing with, I mean, I just can't even imagine. So tonight, I just wanted to do something a little different because I know for me, it's a little overwhelming. I wanted to have a moment of silence to give everyone an opportunity to reflect in your own way, and then I'm going to ask Councilmember Chance to give us a prayer tonight before we recite the pledge. So let's all stand and have a brief moment of silence, and then Councilmember Chance will say a prayer.
We also recognize there is a lot of sorrow, a lot of sadness. And Lord, we just ask that you replace that with gratitude and figure out a way to where we can move forward in accordance with your will. Lord, as tonight we get to celebrate our first responders, I think of them often in regards to their families. Every single day they show up and their initiative is to protect and serve. And so I ask for extra protection around their household, around their families, around their spouses, and I just want them to know also how thankful and grateful we are for them. And Lord, there's something in the Bible that I always point to that, and it's the fruits of the Spirit. And regardless of your political ideology, your faith, I think it's good guidance and wisdom to look for love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, and self-control. So Lord, I just ask that as we conduct this meeting, your will, your purpose be done. I just, again, thankful for the city leaders, thankful for our first responders. And thank you for everybody here tonight and those that might be listening on ICRC. So it's in your precious name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Chance. I appreciate that. Okay, we're going to go on to item number 4, which is the minutes from the July 11th council meeting. I need a motion to approve the minutes from that meeting, please.
Moved. Second.
All in favor?
Mayor, I would just like to
Yes.
make a quick comment on the minutes.
Yes.
Unless there's a change to council that I'm not aware of, we've got a John Stricula listed in the minutes.
Uh-oh.
Is that somebody new?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend the minutes.
Oh, you look.
Where is that in the minutes? I didn't even catch that.
That is under attendance.
Okay. Do we have to make a motion to, or
You can
just,
just-
okay.
Adopted as amended.
Okay, thank you. So I have a first, did I get a second? I don't,
I'll second.
okay. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, and Ashley abstains. Okay. Item number 5, we have the city manager's report. Eric?
Thank you, Mayor. I actually have several items, some of which will require council action, but thought I would like to start with the next item on the agenda, actually, by introducing Fire Chief Brian Brummagen. And in recognition of the guests there, maybe we can address that item first. Chief?
Thank you, Eric. Mayor, Council, thank you for having us here tonight. We are here tonight to celebrate another exciting moment in the history of the fire department in the city. Tonight, we hold the pinning ceremony for 2 members recently promoted to the positions of Deputy Fire Chief and Fire Lieutenant. And in addition, we celebrate the formal swearing in of 3 of our newest fire and EMS professionals. Nate, come on up with your family, please. First, we'll conduct the pinning ceremony for Deputy Fire Chief Nate Wyatt. Nate started his career as an explorer and reserve firefighter with the Orange County, California Fire Authority. And then Nate moved east to attend Eastern Kentucky University, where he obtained an associate's degree in paramedicine and a bachelor degree in fire science with a specialization in arson and explosion investigation. While in college, Nate worked as a firefighter for the Richmond, Kentucky Fire Department and as a paramedic for Madison County, Kentucky EMS. In 2010, Nate started with the city as a firefighter-paramedic. He became a fire lieutenant in 2019. Nate was one of our first firefighters to work in the campus safety program, and he also serves on the Ohio Task Force 1 Urban Search and Rescue Team. He's a previous Employee Excellence Award winner as a participant in the Mason Way. Nate competitively got this position with 3 internal candidates, which is an exciting time for us to see the depth and development that we have in the staff here. And he started in his new position in June. So we're going to have his wife, Rachel, pin on his new badge. All right, Nate, if you can stay up here, please, and Rachel and kids, if you can. You guys can come back up in a minute. All right, next up, we'll have Fire Lieutenant Brian Shaw, if you can come up with your family. Brian graduated from Bellbrook High School and started in Bellbrook as a volunteer firefighter in 2003. Brian worked full-time in Bellbrook and Miami Township, Montgomery County, before working in Oakwood as a public safety officer. That's a firefighter, paramedic, and a police officer. In 2018, Brian transitioned to Mason as a full-time firefighter, paramedic. And over the course of his technical career, he's earned and maintained certifications as a firefighter, paramedic, fire instructor, fire inspector, and a police officer. Along his formal educational journey, Brian completed a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a master's degree in Homeland Security Administration from Tiffin University. Brian started in his position as a fire lieutenant in January and has already proven to be a great addition to his leadership team, to our leadership team. We'll have his wife, Jillian, do his pinning here as well. All right, we'll do the same thing. Brian will keep you, and then we can come up and get pictures with everybody here at the end. Then we'll finish off this portion of the meeting by swearing in 3 of our newest firefighters. These individuals are hired in late 2021 and represent another significant advancement forward for our department and for the city. As you're aware, we have made a significant commitment to improve the level of full-time staffing in the fire department over the past several years, and we thank council for their support in this initiative. The outstanding character and integrity of our staff is apparent to me each day, and our community is being provided with a higher level of service than ever because of your commitment and theirs. I'm going to have Gabe, Joe, and Craig come on up to the front. I'll introduce them here, and then we'll have the mayor come deliver the oath of office. First up is Craig. Craig, raise your hand so we know who we are. Yep. Prior to coming to Mason, Craig Metzgar earned his firefighter and EMT certifications and gained experience working for Fairfield, Hanover Township, Westchester, and Deerfield as a part-time firefighter paramedic. In his time with us, Craig has proven to be a valuable member of his crew and has fit in well with our department. Craig's maturity and enthusiasm for being a part of the team sets him apart, proving that a positive attitude cannot be learned, but skills can. Craig's future is bright, and we look forward to seeing him develop over the course of his career. Next up is Joe. You got to raise your hand too. Firefighter EMT Joe Stoyer. He's a graduate of Mason High School. Joe worked part-time in Mason and Colerain Township prior to rehiring full-time here in the summer of 2021. Fire and EMS runs in Joe's blood. He has several family members who are a part of the profession. Prior to Mason, Joe served in the military full-time, and now he continues to serve as a military reservist. Joe's excited to be serving his hometown, and we are happy that Joe chose to join our department. We look forward to the future, what the future holds for him as well. Then our third firefighter, last but not least here, is Gabe Yarber. Gabe is our second Mason High School graduate that's among the group tonight, and that's pretty exciting for us. While he was in high school, this is one of my favorite stories, and he's probably getting sick of me telling it, but while he was in high school, Gabe visited Fire Station 51, and he met recently retired Deputy Chief Todd Day. Chief Day explained the process to Gabe of becoming a firefighter paramedic. I mean, he was in high school, he didn't have any certifications or anything, and Gabe listened. That was pretty cool. Several years later, Gabe returned to us armed with his certifications and experience as a part-time firefighter in Fairfield and Deerfield. He was hired full-time with the city, and he too has quickly become a valuable member of the staff. We look forward to having Gabe as a member of our team for a long time. Mayor, you're already here.
I'm here, yes.
The firefighters.
Waiting on the side. If you all want to just maybe step right here in front of me, and we'll do it this way. Now, I did want to say, the chief said he was going to put a line in here about how you had to worship him every day, but he said he was going to take it out. Okay, if you want to raise your right hand and just repeat after me. I,
Joseph Stoyer,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Charter and Ordinances
the Charter and Ordinances
of the City of Mason, Ohio,
of the City of Mason, Ohio,
the rules and regulations of the City of the Mason Fire Department,
the rules and regulations
and that I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
discharge the duties of firefighter.
discharge the duties of firefighter.
Congratulations. We're going to have a picture. I think we're going to have all of council come up and get a picture. I just want to say that we are always so proud of our fire department, and words just can't even express what we know, what you all do to protect us 24/7. And I know it's very exciting that we have some new firefighters and some people getting promoted. I can't even say enough about how much we respect you all and appreciate the work that you all do all the time. If other council members want to say something, maybe right after the picture, we'll let you all get an opportunity to say something, but we really appreciate you all. Thank you very much. Was there anyone else on council that wanted to make any comments before they run out the door? Because I think they're all going to get pictures with their families outside. We will give you just a minute there so you all can get out to take some pictures outside. Thank you all again so very, very much. Okay, Eric, do you want to go ahead with the city manager's report, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a number of items here. We'll try and move through rapidly. Making council aware our next scheduled city council meeting will be September 12th. August, we had set for one meeting a month, so September 12th, and without a motion by council to alter the schedule, we would go back to September 12th and then September 26th as our next regularly scheduled meeting. Have spoken with department heads. I do not foresee a need if council wishes to remain with one meeting a week, but it would require a motion to do that.
Is there any such motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Is there any council discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Can I clarify the motion? I'm assuming that is September through December. Typically November and December, we have one meeting a month. Okay.
Okay.
I believe the motion is to continue one meeting a month through the end of the year.
And that's with my understanding, if we need to have a second one, everybody should hold that second date open in case we need to have that, correct?
If you go that path, that would always be my recommendation. There are often opportunities as well as sometimes urgencies that require action. Knowing that you have that second or that fourth Monday of the month pretty flexible. Both allows us to do work sessions, committee meetings, and should a need or an opportunity arise, we could rapidly put a council meeting together. That would be my encouragement.
Okay, I think we had a first and a second, right? Okay, can you call the roll?
Mayor, can I just ask one quick question?
Yes.
How much public notice do we have to give on those meetings?
Well, on your regular meetings, that's,
I'm talking, let's say we go to one a month, the second date that we don't hold, how far in advance do we have to notify the public on?
well, the bare minimum is 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
And that is for the press. The strong preference would be about a week.
Okay, good enough, thank you.
Yes,
Other
Councilmember
questions?
Grossman.
Would those be considered special meetings of council?
Yes, if you take the action to cancel that second meeting of each month, even if you were to find a need to have that meeting, it would still, because you canceled the regular meeting, it would qualify as a special meeting. And we'd go through all the normal notices like any other special meeting.
If I may, that complicates the ability to talk about a wide range of topics if it's a special meeting, unless if you included something like old and new business on the agenda. Could you talk about anything in a special meeting, or does it have to be much more narrowly defined in a special meeting notice?
Well, the requirement for a special meeting is that you identify the topics to be discussed, and then the general rule is that you are then limited to whatever topics were previously identified for that special meeting. There is a provision, either, I can't remember if it's in the charter or in the council rules, that does allow council to add additional items. Even in that special meeting, you can add additional items. I think that's the council rules now that I'm, or charter. I think it's charter. Eric says it's the charter, so I'll defer to that.
I'm struggling with this idea because of that issue with public notice and the ability to have a lot of freedom of discussion within the parameters of the rules. So my preference would be to keep them on the schedule and then cancel them as needed, so that you have a broader opportunity for communication during the regular business meetings of council, as opposed to calling special meetings as needed. That's my opinion on this one.
Okay, thank you. You want to call the roll?
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
No.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Okay, a couple, continuing some business items. City is now looking forward to Heritage Festival as well as Christmas and Mason tree lighting events. The American Legion is again pursuing a temporary liquor permit from the state of Ohio. One of the things they need, because this will be on city property, is approval from council to allow for alcohol service on the downtown plaza. That would be on Saturday, September 17th from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m., which is Heritage Festival, and on Friday, December 2nd from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., which is the Christmas and Mason tree lighting ceremony. Motion is necessary to allow that. I'm not sure if Jeff will allow us to do that in one or two motions. Just consider that the profits from those events are split between the Legion and then the Parks Foundation to the benefit of parks within the city.
Okay, is there
Council-
such a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
All that to happen.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mayor, give me one moment here. I don't have it. A liquor permit, this is a new liquor permit for Thai Terrace LLC, doing business as Thai Terrace and Patios. It's a D2, which is wine and certain prepackaged mixed drinks for on-premises consumption and in sealed containers for carryout until 1 a.m. Council can request a hearing or not request a hearing and do that via motion.
Make a motion, we not request a hearing?
Second?
Okay, I think this one, can we just do all in favor on this one? Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think that concludes the action items, but several notices here. Coming up, the Western Southern Open is once again being held in Mason. That is on Saturday, August 13th. It begins on Saturday, August 13th at the Lindner Family Tennis Center. As council's aware, I think most of our audience, the tournament features the world's top 10 ranked both men and women in a combined week of powerhouse tennis hosted in the city of Mason. That gives the city an opportunity to host economic development partners as well as governmental partners at a variety of events that will be held throughout that week in our ongoing efforts to promote Mason as a place to do business successfully. Both residents, businesses, as well as community center members will notice increased attention on the benefits of hosting tennis and a variety of activities to help promote that and the benefits it brings to the city. Along those lines, want to again announce, as part of our continuing series for small businesses, the tennis tournament gives us an opportunity to celebrate the international flavor that Mason does have. And so this year's promotional effort, specific to small business, especially in downtown, is by celebrating the international event of tennis by highlighting small business in Mason who also bring international flavor with diverse cuisine offerings. So throughout the month of August, Mason community is encouraged to dine around the world at one of the many Mason business establishments, and there's a list, a rather lengthy list, available on the city webpage of those businesses that provide diverse and delicious dishes. Everything from Mexican to Chinese to Thai to Japanese foods are available. The city will be purchasing Mason gift cards to those restaurants and raffling those to Community Center Premier members to help promote that. And then coming up, September, which is National Self-Improvement Month, will be a similar promotion helping to promote Mason small businesses that focus on improving community members' lifestyles, coming up in September. Also, August 17th will be the meeting of the Warren County Municipal League and is being held in Lebanon at the Grand Ole Opry House. Begins at 6 p.m. If council members would like to attend, please let Jennifer or me know. The Aquatic Center, after its inaugural year this year, is switching to back-to-school hours. Those begin on Monday, August 15th through Thursday, September 4th. And those hours it will be open weekends as well as weekdays from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. except for Fridays. And then Labor Day weekend it will shift. It will be open from September 10th through October 2nd. Both pools will be open weekends only from 12 to 5 p.m. This is new for us with the pool being heated, having an indoor component, trying to gauge the level of member and public interest, as well as coupling that with staffing. We're experimenting with hours, and we'll see what that looks like as we adjust in the future. On Labor Day, city offices will be closed Monday, September 5th. The community center will have normal operating hours Friday through Sunday, and then on Monday, they will be open from 6 a.m. to noon with some limited services. A couple of items I want to draw attention to. Mason Police and Fire Departments are conducting a Citizen Safety Academy. That will begin Tuesday, September 6th. It runs for 10 weeks through November 1st. It covers a number of topics that explore the role of both police officers and firefighters. It includes things like looking at utilization of the drone, the K-9 program, CPR, Stop the Bleed, firearm safety. This has been a very popular program in the past and has been a well-utilized program. The city uses alumni from that program, everything from doing neighborhood speed surveys. They help at festivals, and maybe most interestingly, we recruit them when we are recruiting police officers and interviewing. They participate in some of the citizen panels that we do for that. Folks that are interested in registering, encourage them to go to the city website, and there's information as well as application materials to participate in that. I also wanted to draw attention specifically to the police departments. In your packet was notice, and I think sometimes the old news is also the best news. Sometimes it goes unrecognized. The City of Mason has an accredited police department, and this is actually our 9th time being accredited. And this, in fact, I didn't bring that, had our acting police chief, who happens to be here, Carly Dyer in the back. Carly. She's been serving as acting police chief and got me some information. There are, I didn't bring it, Carly, so you may have to correct me. Out of 17,000 police departments, so for ICRC, 750 of those are actually accredited. Accreditation is a significant investment. It takes a lot of time. It is not a check-the-box type of exercise. Assessors from throughout the country come and visit. They interview officers, community members, staff. They have a very rigorous series of practices that must be met. The police department has received that for the 9th time. I just want to read quickly a couple of letters from, or a couple of paragraphs from their letter to give primarily the folks in the audience and they're listening a sense, because I think it's important to understand how significant and how professional our police department is. Within the state of Ohio, 58 out of 600, 750? Of 850. You're talking about something like 4 to 5% of police departments reach this level of accreditation. The letter, after some congratulations and kind of functionary language, the process of CALIA accreditation begins with a rigorous self-assessment requiring a review of policies, practices, and processes against internationally accepted public safety standards. This is followed with an assessment by independent assessors with significant public safety experience. Additionally, public feedback is received to promote community trust and engagement, and structured interviews are conducted with select agency personnel and others with knowledge to assess the agency's effectiveness and overall service delivery capacities. The decision to accredit is rendered by a governing body of 21 commissioners following a public hearing and review of all reporting documentation. CALIA, that is the group that does this. CALIA accreditation is a continuous process and serves as the foundation for a successful, well-managed, transparent, community-focused public safety agency. To this end, an agency must maintain its accredited status by remaining in compliance with CALIA standards at all times. 9 times receiving accreditation. Is only available to somewhere around 5%, it's only been achieved by somewhere around 5% of all the law enforcement agencies within the nation. I think is a high compliment. Sometimes we take for granted because it becomes routine. Certainly within the department, it's not routine. Resources, time are put to make sure they're living up to the highest standards. Chief Carter retired some months ago. We have been looking within and somewhat creatively, maybe, but I think to great effect, have been using some of our most experienced, some of our most tenured officers to serve as part of that process as an acting police chief. That is both to help with the selection of a final police chief, but also as a professional development opportunity to those officers that have the most promise to lead in the future. It's not always the most comfortable process within the police department. I think it has proved enormously beneficial to those that participate as well as to other departments. So I want to take that moment. I know we have a lot going on here, but I think it's maybe worth a round of applause that Chief Dyer could take back to the department. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chief. I do have a couple other items. I'll move fast. Saturday night, and I think the Arts Committee may want to speak to this, but we did host the John Williams birthday concert, Star Wars and Beyond. I think it was a very well-received event, had about 1,000 people in attendance right here on the lawn outside. And we had folks like Chief Dyer, as well as others throughout departments, Fire Lieutenant Kyle Anderson was the incident commander this time. But our focus now shifts to Heritage Festival, and want to make sure that I announce this a couple of times because there are some changes in store for Heritage Festival this year. A direction was given to try and return that to downtown Mason, and that is what the Incident Command Group for that, which is their first effort before next year's Red Rhythm Boom. It'll take place on Saturday, September 17th, focused on the Mason Downtown Plaza. And this is important, I think, for councils with the public here. The parade this year will begin at 3 p.m. So it's not 10 a.m., it'll begin at 3 p.m., and it will begin just north of this building, and then move on to Mason Montgomery, so the parade will flow in the opposite direction and go towards Grace Chapel. The reviewing area, kind of the center point there, will be the downtown plaza. Immediately following the parade viewers will be encouraged to stay near the plaza within downtown. There will be activities that will open beginning at that point in time, will remain open till 10 p.m. I consider it like a downtown block party that will follow the parade. So between 3 and 10 p.m. there will be a parade, there will be vendors, there will be the kids' entertainment, there will be beverages now with Council's Action, the American Legion's cooperation, food and non-food vendors to return Heritage Festival to the downtown area and hopefully change things a little bit. And I know some folks have gotten accustomed to how it's been done. The intent here is to really return that nexus of activity between the parade and the vendors and the downtown businesses. So please, we will be doing significant promotion on that. Please pass the word along. Wouldn't want folks to be disappointed. I'm sorry, Mary, I think that's my last item. I've exhausted everything, so thank you for the time.
Okay, thank you. And I know we're all very excited about the Heritage Festival, so we're looking forward to that. Okay, on to item number 7. We have the Mesa Mile update with the MAID CDC, and I think Annie Drogi, you're going to come up and give us that update, please.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, and staff. My name's Annie Drogi. I'm a volunteer from the Mesa Mile Core Team, and I'm here this evening to provide an update on the Mesa Mile project. The Mesa Mile project is a community-led, market-driven project. We will honor our history while building into a future a fresh, healthy, and sustainable place for people to live, work, and play. The Mesa Mile project has a core team of volunteers that consists of David Charpentier, Casey Richards, and myself, alongside administrative staff, which includes Sherry Taylor and Sydney Hayes, which is over here. MAID CDC's board of directors, very excitingly, finalized a scope of work and request for proposal for the grant scope on June 28th and posted the request for proposal publicly. The deadline to solicit proposals was Friday, July 22nd. The MAID CDC board is currently reviewing the received proposals and have scheduled interviews for qualifying firms. They actually start tomorrow, the interview process. The MAID CDC board expects to have the firm selected mid-August and to begin work right away. We do want to clarify some information regarding the executive summary Appendix E on page 13. It is important to note that this is a preliminary analysis on the 400 acres highlighted in red. That analysis was conducted following national planning standards and will be validated through a market study. We encourage the public to read the executive summary in its entirety, to visit our website, maidcdc.org/Downtown Mason Mile, or you could join our Facebook group, Downtown Mason Mile Project, and to reach out to any of the team members I stated earlier, should you have any questions. On Thursday, very excitingly, this past August 4th, we held a neighborhood quarterly meetup at the Common Beer Company. We had an awesome turnout of about 30 people, I would say more, who were residents and or business owners from the community. The purpose of the quarterly meetup is to bring our MAID community together and provide an informational update. Our next quarterly meetup is November 3rd, and it will be at Warped Wing. We really encourage anybody who is interested in this process to come and just hear what's going on. We update and just have a great time getting to know each other as community members. We have 49 community members who are currently signed up to help advance the Mason Mile project through task completion, and we are calling them our activators. In July, we had activators collect data and spread the word about the Mason Mile project along West Main, East Main, and Reading Road. Thank you to everyone who has helped us complete tasks so far. Your efforts and time don't go unrecognized, and we couldn't do all this work without you. We also truly want to thank the Mason City Council for partnering with us for partnering with us to make all of this happen. We are eager and so excited to continue to build on all of the good work that's been done over the years and move at the speed of trust. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you. We really appreciate you coming every meeting to give us an update of what's going on.
We are really happy to do it.
Okay, thank you.
I also want to say I'm super stoked about Heritage Days moving to downtown Mason.
Yes, thank you. Okay, we're going to go on to item number 8, which is recognition of visitors. And I want to just, if you're here for the public hearing for Ordinance 2022-85, if you have something to say about that, wait until that public hearing. Otherwise, if you have something to say, you can come to the podium. And I want to remind everybody, we do have a council rule that has a 5-minute limit for each person unless a council member wants to modify that and make a motion to modify the 5 minutes. I don't know if anybody wants to do that. I guess not. So if anyone would like to come before council, just come to the podium and speak for recognition of visitors. Does not look like anyone. Okay. All right, so we will go right on to item number 9, which is Resolution 2022-19. I need a motion to read by title only.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff.
Declaring the necessity and intention to appropriate property for the State Route 741 improvement project from Cocksmith Road to Spyglass Hill and declaring an emergency. Sandeep Basu and Preeti Basu.
Okay, Kurt.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is needed for really just one parcel. We had 13 properties on this part of the project. This is, like Jeff said, from Cocksmith up to Spyglass Hill. It's what we call the GAP project. That'll be under construction next year. We have 2 parcels remaining to be signed. One is the Carmel HOA. They're just working through the authority through their board to be able to sign the agreement. And the last one is the one that we're looking to appropriate. It's what we would call a friendly appropriation. The parties know that we're going to file to be able to keep the project moving forward on the deadline that we have for ODOT. But they have, one of the properties has actually an HOA landscaping easement on it. So by default, our agreements have to have both parties on it, and they have to agree on the dispensation of the compensation for the easement that we need. So they have not come to a resolution between them yet, so we're going to move forward with the appropriation. And again, we would say this is what we call a friendly appropriation to keep the project moving along. So with that, this is recommended for adoption. We hope to start construction spring of next year and finish by the end of next year with this project. So with that, I'll take any questions that you have.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spath,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Chance,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn.
Yes.
Okay, we're to items 10 and 11. Ordinance 2022-85, a public hearing and a second reading. So I need a motion to read by title only, please.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, Jeff?
Repealing Chapter 125 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Mason regarding standards of best practice for real property transactions.
Okay, Eric, I think you're going to talk about this one.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Quickly, in 2018, Chapter 125 began. The fundamental sense of it was to establish a multi-step disclosure process for council members to follow when they're considering property sales or purchases. In 2019, there were amendments adopted to that original Chapter 125. Those were in response to an ad hoc committee with different representatives from the community. Those amendments include a kind of a structural modification that allowed for a minority of 3 council members to initiate that disclosure process. So it didn't make that process mandatory. It allowed a minority of council, as they felt needed, to initiate the multi-step process. Then just at a year ago, in August of last year, council via legislation placed a charter amendment on the ballot. And that charter amendment, which was known as Issue 14, ultimately was adopted by the voters at the ballot last November. The language in that reads in part that council members and relevant city staff shall certify in writing disclosures of actual and potential conflicts of interest involving any real estate transactions with the city prior to council vote on said transactions. And probably more for the benefit of the audience, the legislation that is passed has legal effect, but only as it complies with the charter. The charter is the governing law. It's kind of the city's constitution. So legislation that's passed has to comport ultimately with the charter. So ordinance, the charter amendment is actually the governing authority. Chapter 125 does have some redundant but also some conflicting language with that now controlling charter language. Given that, both that overlap and the conflicts, it's now appropriate to go ahead and repeal Chapter 125. Council has, since the charter amendment was adopted, successfully followed a process that comports with the charter amendment by making written disclosures prior to voting on transactions involving property. So given that process, some of the conflicts with 125 and the new charter amendment that was passed by voters, what this does is it allows for the repeal of Chapter 125 in favor of the now governing charter language. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to open the public hearing, and the time is 7:45 p.m. If there's anyone that wants to come to the podium and speak about this particular ordinance, please come forward, state your name and your address, please.
My name is Stuart Cowan, at 110 Cowan Drive. I guess I'm kind of confused, so if it might be to ask a question first. So, being the attorney of the group there, you're telling me that everything that was in 125 is now in law as far as the charter goes? So the transparency still exists within the charter? Every council member has to be transparent when it comes to property dealings and all those kinds of things that we were just talking about?
Yeah, I can tell you that under the recently adopted charter amendment, that charter amendment still requires council members and relevant staff members to make any disclosures about conflicts of interest.
Well, I came tonight because I was extremely disappointed to see this go away, but now that this is in effect, I guess I'm less disappointed. It seems to me that, and I'm really kind of surprised there's not very many people here tonight. I haven't been to a council meeting myself in a while, shame on me. Transparency is all we got. We, the people, all we have is transparency from the members that are elected. And I just want to make sure that's always maintained. So thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Does anyone else want to come speak to it? Okay, no one else? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:47 p.m. And I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Okay, and I'm going to ask for council discussion. Would anyone like to have any council discussion? Yes, Councilmember Redburn.
Yes, I was not on council when 125 was adopted, and as I read the note from the city manager, it talks about the conflicting language. Now, I do see the conflicting language on 125.02, because apparently that was like a stoplight, 3 members or 5 members or whatever. And if I can ask a question of the law director, that is one of the things apparently the city manager was referring to, or maybe I should ask the city manager.
Sure, I don't want to speak for the city manager, but I can tell you as the law director, yes, that those provisions are inconsistent with the charter, with the new charter provision.
Okay, and then
Tony, if I could add, maybe
Go ahead.
this is an easier summary. The Chapter 125 was only invoked when a minority of council chose to invoke it. And maybe this helps the audience. So I don't want to call it optional, but it only came to effect when council members asked for it to go into effect. The charter is in effect, period. It's in effect all the time. So you must comport with that. 125, there's some variability, I guess.
if I may continue? Mm-hmm. Okay, and then as I read 125, and I did print it off here, it looks like a lot of this stuff is, I guess, I'm going to call it on the front end, it was basically incumbent upon people who wanted to do business with the city to go ahead and disclose, but I don't see that obviously in the charter amendment. So my question is it more relevant to go ahead and amend 125 and try to keep as much transparency as we can for the public to know who's coming, who's going, front end, back end, whatever? That's my question, I guess, to council.
Well, I'd like to go ahead and have a discussion with everybody, and then we can come back to that. Does anyone else have anything they want to comment on in regard to this? And then we'll get back to that.
My experience with 125 is, I really thought it would be useful in the last deal, the Cohen deal. And I think if you remember back, really 125 was ineffective because of the huge loopholes that it had. I wanted to have signatures stating, if anyone had dealings with, one party, but in the contract it said at any time it can switch it to another party, and there was no stipulations to have that other party fill out the paperwork. So the loopholes are pretty big in 125. So honestly, I'm not even sure how effective it really is because of those loopholes. And we saw that with the Cohen deal. I brought it up and I made a big deal out of it because it was upsetting that there was such a big loophole in 125.
Well, I didn't see the loophole there. I think it was, you had to sign if there was some type of a conflict, and he didn't sign, so there was no conflict, correct? But let's go on from there.
Okay, yeah,
Okay,
but let's-
I don't want to throw the baby out with the wash. I want to have transparency as much as possible. So, she brought up her point, but Mary, you had something else you wanted to,
Well, I wanted to see if anybody else has anything that they want to have council discussion before we come back and talk about other possibilities. Does anybody else have anything they want to say? Yes, Councilmember Grossman.
Mayor, I do, but I want to ensure that Mr. Bradburn is finished with his 10 minutes with the floor before I take a turn. So I sensed that he wasn't finished before Councilmember
I
Melton.
apologize. But did you have something else that you wanted?
my only other comment is what other sections other than 125.02 are in conflict with the charter?
Okay, do you have anything else you wanted to say before we go on? Because I want to make sure
Yeah.
you get your time. Okay.
I don't think it's redundant. I think if the public would take the time and look at it, it's not redundant. It's basically, like I said, on the front end and the back end. And if it needs to, maybe go to a committee to be reworked. But I think if anything, the public wants transparency, as indicated tonight by some member of the audience. We've seen non-transparency at Washington. My God. So the bottom line is I don't know that, I understand the concern in regards to, I'm going to call it a conflict, but it looks to me like, I won't call it a conflict, but a redundant, but it seems like there's some things here in 125 that should be saved so the public knows what's going on, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor?
Yes.
I think the redundancy falls in that now that we gave it to the voters and issue 14 passed, and the redundancy falls that it is in our charter now, opposed to we don't need chapter 125 because it's law. Is that accurate? I mean,
Do you have any other comments you want to make? I'm trying to make sure we adhere.
I mean, I
to-
think that's just where, through discussions, that's
Could you repeat
deductive
that?
reasoning said, what's that?
I did want to not answer that, but I'm not sure I followed what you said.
Well, the redundancy is that we have chapter 125 as an ordinance, and we also have issue 14 that passed that's in our charter now, which makes it law opposed to a minority position of council that would want to enact it, now it is every single, we have to do it, correct?
I think I would say that there are certainly elements of Chapter 125 that could comport with the charter amendment, but the charter amendment uses different language, sets a certain threshold of what you must do. If you were to try and rewrite, you would want to rewrite 125 kind of with that new goal in mind to make sure that the charter was and so it's not just conflicts, it is kind of overlap and redundancies. Some of those elements you may still want to maintain, but some of them aren't directed to compliance with the charter amendment, if that makes sense. The obvious conflicts are 125 as it stands is optional for council. It takes council invoking it, whereas the charter is your baseline threshold. So what I would encourage you to do is you have to comply with the charter no matter what you do. If you wanted to add on processes to that compliance, that's how you ought to think of it.
Did you have anything else? Okay. Did anyone else want to make a comment? Okay, yes, Councilmember Grossman.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna argue that it's exactly not redundant. And I disagree with the city manager's position that it's redundant and in conflict. And I don't believe it's staff's position to set policy of this nature. And I mean that with all due respect, but Chapter 125 is very, very different. And to Mr. Cowan's question about the requirements of council, yes, those will be the same. However, Chapter 125 requires a lot more than that. It offers protection on the front end of a transaction and the back end, but it also protects us on both sides. So it asks for disclosure from the counterparty. So if the city's the buyer, it asks for disclosures from the seller. If the city's the seller, it asks for disclosures from the buyer, so that you have disclosure and transparency on both sides of the transaction, so we're not as able to play shell games and invite a potential conflict of interest in a transaction, or even the appearance of a conflict of interest in a transaction. And that's very important to the public. It's very important to me. As Chapter 125's purpose states, it's in the best interest of the public to make available a disclosure process that increases government transparency and enables fair and open discussion. Unlike previous practices by Mason Council that permitted transactions not previously listed on the meeting agendas to be voted on in the dark of night after executive session discussions and without community input. This was our standard practice, and while it was legal, it was not always done with transparency provided by the disclosure in the requirements of Chapter 125. Chapter 125 is currently consistent with the Charter. Section 125.02, Sections A and C, those are often called the light switch provisions. I think Mr. Bradburn called it a stoplight, or the 3/7 and the 5/7 rule. So 3/7 meaning 3 members could ask to invoke it, or 5/7 meaning that 5 members could ask that we suspend all of the requirements, or we make some kind of modification or repeal of Chapter 125 altogether. However, the requirement to invoke the law at the request of 3 council members, or that we suspend some or all of the requirements at the request of 5 members, are now automatically superseded and thereby moot by the new charter language. So it's not that they're inconsistent or in conflict, they don't really matter. So the obvious solution is to simply amend and repeal those 2 sections from Chapter 125. We should not repeal the whole law, but only those requirements. In the best way to protect the public's interest is to make those amendments instead of throwing it all the way out. I'm getting back to my notes. Sorry, I repeated myself there. So I'm sorry that the city manager's memo said that it's appropriate to repeal it, and that I'm humbly and respectfully disagreeing, because I care about your feelings on this matter, but I feel repeal is overkill. The last council election cycle in 2019, as was mentioned, those of us on council who supported additional legislative and not optional transparency practices finally succeeded in offering the public a chance to weigh in with the charter amendment. Overwhelmingly, the public in a nonpartisan election demonstrated that it cares about having more transparency, not less. The public did not expect us to take transparency safeguards of Chapter 125 away in exchange for the passage of the Charter Amendment. Thus, the argument that the Charter Amendment is justification to repeal it simply isn't valid. I mean, it's just not sufficient. It's obvious Chapter 125 does not need to be repealed, but updated with amendments in 3 areas. So Chapter 125, Section 125.02, Section A and C, should be amended by being deleted, and Section 125.05, under affidavit requested, could be modified to clarify the issue of timing language, which was a question that came up, and we can simply do that by adding a couple of words in the last line of that section. I wanted to show you guys an example of something that's in our codified ordinances that's superseded by higher law. And it goes with this, but this is a codified ordinance 121.03. Smoking at public meetings or hearings are prohibited, and there's a penalty. Section A, oh, by the way, this is ordinance 96-1976. So I was 5 years old when this was written. Smoking of pipes, cigars, cigarettes, or any other substance by any person or individual during public meetings or hearings conducted by the council chambers of the city is hereby prohibited. Whoever violates this section shall be fined not more than $10 for each offense. So they meant business. No smoking in the council chambers. And as we know, in state law, was adopted in 2006 by an initiative petition that smoking in public buildings is now prohibited in Ohio. So we weren't in a hot rush to repeal that part of our codified ordinances. There's all kinds of laws that may seem obsolete, but Chapter 125 is not obsolete. It's an incredible protection for the public on all sides of a real estate transaction. So I move to amend it, not repeal it.
Okay, are you finished, or, I'm sorry.
Well, that's now, Jeff, we need your guidance. May I make an amendment at this time if nobody else has any council
Finish council
discussion?
discussion on the original motion. I would like to finish council discussion on the original motion.
You can certainly do that, although I will say that any council member that has the floor has the ability to make a motion to amend at any time while they have the floor. I'll defer to council if you want to do that now, or if you want to continue the discussion.
Would that be okay if we continue discussion? Okay, okay. Did anyone else want to say anything in regard to it? Okay, I guess it'll, no one else? Okay. I was on council when we implemented Chapter 125, and it was a very long, tedious process because we didn't do it haphazardly. And as Eric said, there was an ad hoc committee that even looked at it after we passed it to see what we needed to do to amend it. And I thought it was a very good way to have transparency. But apparently when I was not on council, there was a decision made that it was not enough and that this needed to be put into the charter. I'm not a big fan of changing the charter. I say that all the time. That should be far and few between because that's like changing your constitution. So I really didn't understand why it was being put in the charter. But I guess what I want to say is if the things that you're talking about now that you're concerned, why didn't you put that in the charter? If you wanted to make sure that those things were going to be implemented the way you want them to be implemented. So I personally think that right now, okay, I'm open to listening to a discussion about what may or may not could be modified in Chapter 125, but only after we repeal the current one. I think it's going to get very confusing. I'm not willing to vote on something tonight with an amendment of something that I haven't even seen that you're talking about. So I really think right now what this council needs to do is repeal Chapter 125, and then if a council member or if we want to appoint another committee to take a look at this to see if we want to come back and put anything else in Chapter 125, or if we even want to do another charter amendment, which I don't agree, like I said, I don't agree with that. But I just think it's going to get very confusing. I think what we have in place takes care of the transparency. This is what you wanted implemented, Councilmember Grossman, when you were mayor, and you got it by the approval of the voters. So I think transparency is in place. I'm just going to say I am for amending this. For repealing this as is. And any amendment that you may present, I'm not going to support that. So does anybody else have anything else that they want to say before? And then I will allow you to go back and make your motion if you want to make a motion to amend. Anyone else? Nope. Okay.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. And to clarify, I wanted something more like Chapter 125 to go in the charter, but you yourself argued passionately that it was too lengthy and that we needed to make it a codified ordinance and that wasn't
Well, that doesn't
great for the
stop
charter.
doing anything, so I don't want to hear that.
And I
If you
certainly
want to
did
make a
not,
motion, if you would
pardon
like
me,
a motion,
well,
I
I have 10 minute. I think I have 10 minutes here, but I will get to that motion shortly. And as far as the loopholes, we had an opinion rendered by our law director on that at the time when that came into question over the Keystone transaction. And I filled out not one, but 2 affidavits because that's a whole nother can of worms. But I think that in that case, that legislation was used inappropriately. And we were given an opinion on that, and it didn't continue. All right, so I make a motion to amend in Chapter 125, Section 125.02, under general requirements, to delete or repeal Sections A and Section C. And those are the 3/7 rule to invoke it, and that's the 5/7 rule C is 5/7 to terminate, modify, or suspend any or all provisions of the chapter.
Is that the entire motion? Okay.
Is that acceptable?
Is
Jeff?
there, is that,
Is it acceptable to do it those two at a time? And then I can add another motion for the other section.
I think you should, it's your, you have the floor, you can make the motion however you like. If you want to combine all of your changes into one amendment, you can do that. If you want to do them separately,
Okay, let me do that again. I'm going to make a new motion, so I'm going to repeal the previous motion, or withdraw it. Thank you. And I'm going to move that we amend Chapter 125.02, Sections A and C, and that we insert in Section 125.05, under affidavit requested in the last line, after the word discussion, insert the word or action, 2 words, or action. So it would read additional discussion or action by council. And that corrects that issue of some argued about timing. That means it can happen at any time prior to council action. And that's the motion for all 3 of those changes.
Mayor, would you mind, I just want to, that's great as far as like an exhibit to this, but I want to make sure we address a couple things if I could. So the title of Ordinance 85 right now, as it was introduced, is repealing Chapter 125. Would it be appropriate that, I think what I'm hearing is you would, part of your motion is that would change to say amending Chapter 125.
Thank you. Yes.
And then in the last whereas clause, it says, whereas City Council desires to repeal Chapter 125, same thing, that would just be to amend.
Amend. Thank you. Yes, please.
And then, sorry, I think one more thing. And Section 1, right now, as presented, says that Chapter 125 of the Mason Codified Ordinances shall be repealed in its entirety. I think, consistent with your motion, it would say it shall be amended then to reflect the amendments that you just had.
Thank you. Yes,
I'm sorry.
thank you.
That's okay? Okay,
Fear of losing the floor after we take the round of votes, I combined them all.
okay.
Thank you.
So that's the motion. Is that everyone, okay, all right.
okay, is there a second?
Repealed and amended. Would you-
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Can we have council discussion again on this, or?
You can have discussion on a
Okay,
motion
does
to
anyone
amend.
want to have council discussion on her motion?
Mayor.
Yes.
Yeah, I just kind of feel like this is half-baked, and I like your comment that the appropriate way to deal with this is to go ahead and rescind Chapter 125, and then whether it goes to committee or whatever, if there's more, if there are pieces of this that need to be in place, I'm fully in favor of that, but I don't think sitting up here in this manner is appropriate. I think we need time to be able to work on this if there's going to be any changes to Chapter 125 other than repealing it. So I'm not in favor of that.
Okay. Anybody else have any council discussion? Okay.
Mayor?
Yes.
On this motion, half-baked is not appreciated as a comment. I actually pulled it up, printed it out, studied it, reviewed my notes, and a lot of work, months of work went into drafting this original legislation. So it just took a few minutes to pull it up and read it and consider what we were actually being asked to do. I'm ready to vote.
Okay. Yes. Councilmember Chance.
No, I'm good.
Oh, I thought you said you wanted to talk. Okay. And again, I'm just going to say I'm not willing to vote on anything I haven't seen prior than the hearing it 5 minutes ago. So we are voting on the motion to amend,
Yes,
correct?
correct.
Okay. I'm going to ask for a roll call, please.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes, on the motion to amend.
Councilmember Stricula?
No.
Mayor Spaeth?
No.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
No.
Councilmember Chance?
No.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes?
Councilmember Hackey?
No.
Okay, so then we go back to our original ordinance motion to.
Yes, the motion to amend failed to get sufficient votes, so that motion fails. And you are back in the discussion of the original ordinance.
Mayor,
Yes.
can I call the question, please?
Yes, but I'm just going to say if anybody else has anything else they want to say, but we are going to vote on the original ordinance of repealing Chapter 125. I don't know that there's any more discussion, but I am going to allow that. I appreciate you saying that, but I am going to allow that. Anybody else have anything else they want to say? Okay, let's have roll call.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
No.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
No.
Okay, we're moving on to item number 12, ordinance 2022-88. A motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Yes?
Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Approval of the replat for the WRLD subdivision, Section 2.
Okay, Kurt?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a plat that replaces a plat that previously went to Planning Commission and Council. This breaks the property up from one lot into 6 separate lots. And it also dedicates Veterans Parkway and right-of-way needed on Mason Montgomery Road and Western Railroad. Planning Commission recommended approval of the revised plat with the condition that the limits of the right-of-way on Veterans Parkway be adjusted as necessary based on the traffic impact study lane configurations. And with that, ordinance 22-88 is recommended for adoption.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved? Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Okay, on to item number 13, ordinance 2022-89. A motion to read by title only, please.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Approval of the replat for the beach subdivision, Phase 4.
Okay, Kurt?
Yes, thank you. This is a replat that was reviewed at the August Planning Commission meeting, and really it's to make way for a new Texas Roadhouse restaurant that was also approved at that meeting. This replat just moves a property line to allow, I think, about a half an acre to transfer between 2 lots. So it'll create a new lot 2D and 2E, and with that, ordinance 22-89 is recommended for adoption.
All right, thank you, Kurt. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, anyone opposed? A motion to adopt, please.
Moved?
Second.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes. Okay, ordinance 2022-90, item number 14. A motion to read by title only, please.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Cargill, Inc. for the purchase of approximately 5,500 tons of highway rock salt at $89.05 per ton.
Okay, Jennifer?
Yes, Mayor, members of council, if you don't mind, I'm going to cover the next 2 ordinances because they deal with the same thing. So for one of the hottest days of the year, I thought I'd cool everybody down tonight, and we'll talk about rock salt. Annually, at this time of year, we typically ask council to review our bids for rock salt and approve legislation that allows us to purchase that salt for the upcoming season, which is to begin, hopefully not for a long, long time. We purchase roughly 5,500 tons of rock salt a year for about 12 to 14 snow events that the city has. We use 2 different cooperative purchasing programs to do that. Using 2 programs helps us ensure that we receive the lowest price possible for salt, as well as provide some flexibility with us in those salt purchases in case a provider isn't able to provide that salt to us. Last year, just to remind everybody, our 2021 price for salt was $57.22 per ton. We had quite an increase this year under both programs. The lowest bid under both programs was $89.05. I don't think that was really shocking for any of us. We're seeing a lot of increases in our prices for a lot of commodities, equipment, et cetera, et cetera. This is at an 8-year high. The last time we saw prices like this was back in 2014, so quite a difference. This salt is the single largest cost associated with snow and ice control. Ryan Tyree and his staff within the service department and helps us look for alternative ways. We use a lot of brine, which is a cheap resource for us. Brine costs about 18 cents a gallon for us to make. You'll see brine, usually our trucks will go out and ahead of a snowstorm that is predicted or anticipated. You see the white lines along the roadway. That helps activate the salt and keep our drivers safe on the roads out there. So this year, the total under both the ordinances that are before you tonight is for $740,000. We only anticipate we'll spend roughly $500,000. That's still a lot of money, it's a good portion of our budget. The first legislation, Ordinance 2022-90, authorizes a contract with Cargill, again for that lowest bid price of $89.05. The second ordinance, 2022-91, authorizes a contract not to exceed $250,000. And what that'll allow us to do is to find alternative sources from Cargill in case that is necessary or prices are cheaper. With that, we are recommending both Ordinance 2022-90 and 91 for adoption. Thank you. Ask any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Jennifer. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Okay, item 15, ordinance 2022-91, a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into alternate contracts for the purchase of highway rock salt in an aggregate amount not to exceed $250,000.
Okay, and Jennifer's already discussed this, so I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion to adopt.
So moved. Second?
Any council discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Okay, item 16, ordinance 2022-92, a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to execute an intergovernmental agreement with Warren County for the McKeno Park Improvement Project.
All right, and Eric, I think you've got this one.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm not sure this is the most important thing we'll do tonight, but I think it is probably the best thing we'll do tonight. This is extremely good news when you have a project that is so close to folks and the pieces start to come together and then they keep coming together. I know at your last council meeting that I missed, Senator Wilson was here to talk about funding secured in the state capital project for the state capital budget for a project we call adaptive ball fields. And this would be an extension of McKeno Park with ball fields that are built and suited for kids with special needs to play ball. There have been a lot of groups that have been working on this for many years, and I think council now is able to see the end of that horizon, both with Senator Wilson's help, and now tonight would like to move forward on action to secure Warren County's assistance. Warren County has been a longtime supporter of this project from the McKeno Park concept. Initially, when we were working on assembling the property, Warren County came to the table. And now, by using some funding they have available through what's called the American Recovery Plan Act, those are federal funds essentially provided to localities as part of COVID relief packages. Staff have been working with Warren County to identify local uses for those at the city level, and the adaptive ball fields was secured as a legitimate use for Warren County, and they've expressed interest in moving forward with that with $400,000 commitment from the county commissioners that would be matched by the city of Mason's $400,000 that was budgeted to, in this action, secure that $800,000 piece towards McKeno Park. That, together with 2 series of state capital budget funding, these funds, and then the Challenger League itself, which has been the private entity working on fundraising, they've raised approximately $300,000 and are continuing to very aggressively fundraise for the project. We are at the cusp, with this action, of meeting the target of $2.1 million, which means we feel confident, I should say comfortable, in moving forward towards bidding the project out. There's a little bit of hesitation here because since we set that target, the economy and supply chain and inflation haven't necessarily worked our advantage. But also moving into another budget cycle, feeling comfortable in the aggressive fundraising, that we can move this forward towards bidding it out, see what those costs come back, make future decisions, in the next few months on how that moves the project forward towards completion. So want to make sure Warren County, I think they went above and beyond on this, taking some funding that was available and a little complicated to use, and finding a method that it could be applied to a very worthwhile project within the city of Mason. So very grateful for those funds coming to our locality and towards, again, it may not be the most important project we have here, but is probably the best, and certainly a lot of advocates for it. So Ordinance 2022-92 authorized an intergovernmental agreement with Warren County, which is a fancy way of saying they'll provide funds, we'll match those funds, and we'll go towards a common goal. It is recommended for adoption.
Okay, thank you, Eric. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? A motion to adopt?
So moved?
Second?
Okay, any council discussion? Yes, Councilor Pratt.
Mayor, if I may, wholeheartedly support this. However, as we had done some of the pre-planning of a future fire station, this was kind of the location where one of them was going to be. So I think we might need to have a meeting of the heads as far as area and so on and so forth, if we do go ahead and use that area to facilitate that third station.
The adaptive ball fields, where they've been structured, it won't interfere with future plans, future possibilities for a third station on the other side.
I'm from Missouri. I'd like to see a plan.
We could show you.
Okay.
Yes, Councilmember Chance.
Yeah, I'm in the throes of youth sports, and one of the highlights of the baseball season is we get to go watch the Challenger League. They invite all of NYO to come. And last year, we had our team out there, and, with just like anything else, where youth sports is going, it's kind of taken the fun somewhat out of the game. But watching the sheer joy of these kids get out and play and enjoy the game, it was a teachable moment for us as coaches to say, this is what it's about. So Susan Murdoch, I've met with her. She's phenomenal. She's got an incredible spirit, and very similar to Rachel. She's not given up, and I think it's major kudos to the city to support this and get creative with the county on how we can do that. Definitely thanks to Senator Wilson for championing this on the state level. But to me, this is something that to have in our backyard. I would just encourage, the citizens of Mason or surrounding folks to get out and take a look at this park. And then not only that, but get to go watch these kids play sports is just, it's rewarding, it's heartwarming, and it's just something that I'm just stoked that we're able to do this. And again, kudos to the city, the county, the state, that really it was a contorted effort to figure this out and get this thing done. So I'm just pretty happy to see this finally come to fruition all the way. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I just want to just say thank you very much to the Warren County Commissioners. I mean, this is so important to bring this, like you said, to fruition, and hopefully the construction will be able to start soon. When I say soon, it's probably still another year, but no, won't be that long. But it's just so exciting that so many different groups of people have come together. This really means the world to the Challenger League to be able to have these adaptive ball fields so that these kids can play without worry of injury. And we had the kids here, was it 2 meetings ago? Some of the kids were here? Last meeting, okay, I'm mixed up there. And they have a big game coming up. It hasn't happened yet, right? Do you know when the game is? Not all of the kids are going to get to play in it. It's a tournament.
It's mid-August.
It'll be soon. So I'm really excited to hear about that. Some of them are going to it's a big tournament game, right? I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
What?
Where they hold the Little League World Series.
Okay,
They're also having an adaptive World Series.
which is very, very exciting. So hopefully by our next meeting, we'll have some information about that. So this is really great, just awesome, awesome, and thank you to the Warren County Commissioners. Anyone else? Okay, let's call the roll.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spade,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Chance,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn.
Yes.
Okay, item 17, we are to committee reports. Does anyone have a committee report?
Mayor?
Mine's real quick.
Okay.
Okay, Councilmember Chance.
Well, in regards to the downtown, we heard the update tonight. Sydney, thank you for you and your group getting together. We heard the very similar thing at our meeting, and it's just encouraging to the progress that you guys have made. And I would encourage, if anyone, is it madecdc.org? madecdc.org. Just go to their site. There's so much information there. I think in the spirit of, I like moving at the spirit of trust, but also at the spirit of communication. There's plenty of information. If there's any questions, concerns, I know their team is available for any questions. So kudos, well done. It makes my life a lot easier. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Nelson.
Mayor?
Yes.
I know Eric already kind of commented about this, but I wanted to talk about it some more. As everybody knows, on Saturday in front of the municipal building, the city hosted a Southwest Ohio Philharmonic Orchestra performance, and it was phenomenal. We had approximately 1,000 people in attendance. The weather was pretty nice up until the very end, the very last song. But, you know, it was really well taken. I've received so much positive feedback from everyone, and we hope to do this again. I serve on the Arts Committee with Councilmember Chance and Councilmember Hackey, and we're working really hard to build and create a vibrant arts community within Mason. And I think we're off to a great start, and we have a lot of stuff planned that we hope to bring in the next year or so. So thanks for supporting the concert, and we hope to have more of them.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Have a committee report? Yes.
Sorry,
Did I call you John? No, Josh?
Please.
Josh.
I would like to know who wrote that in the meeting minutes. Oh, it was Jennifer, okay. Hi, Jennifer, I'm Josh. Thanks. Mayor, we did have a finance committee meeting. We did have a finance committee meeting right before the council meeting tonight. Just a couple of items, if I may, one that will take some council action. But the first reason that we met was actually a request from Deerfield Township to waive some permit fees for extending the road in Rose Hill Cemetery. So we met to discuss that and talk about that. We have done that in the past with actually some other permits within Rose Hill Cemetery. We have done it with other institutions, such as a school, with some things that they were doing. So through the discussion with the other two members of the committee, the amount was about $4,500, so it wasn't a lot. It would extend some goodwill to Deerfield Township. So it's the committee's recommendation that we would waive those. And if I may now, it will take a motion, so I would like to make a motion now, if that's appropriate, or would you like me to do it?
That's fine.
So just a motion to waive the fees associated with the Rose Hill Cemetery Road Improvement Project for Deerfield Township.
I'll second that.
And you second, okay, okay. Did anyone have any discussion okay,
Mayor?
yes.
I'm just going to say I'm not going to vote yes to this. It's taxpayer dollars that we've collected, and waiving the permit fees for the cemetery I don't think is the right thing to do, because if you go in there to try to buy a plot, Mason City residents will pay more for the plot than Deerfield Township residents. So I don't feel that we should be using taxpayer dollars to waive permit fees if our residents aren't getting the same pricing as the Deerfield pricing. So I am going to vote no on this, but I wanted just to explain why.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to make a comment? And I'll just say, I'm definitely for it. I know there is a discrepancy in the price, but it's only $200 discrepancy. There used to be a bigger gap, and they've closed that gap. But they do a lot of things in partnering with us. For instance, during Red Rhythm and Boom, they allow for people to park their cars in the cemetery. I know when the schools were having their homecoming parade start over there, they were allowing people to line their floats up in the cemetery. So I think it's goodwill, and it shows good faith for us to work with them and partner with them. And so I have no problem with waiving, what was it, $4,500. So that's all I have to say. If anybody, yes.
Yeah, I'd like to support it as well, and it saves taxpayer dollars. I understand your argument on the price discrepancy, and I'm not sure why that exists exactly, but I do know they pay more taxes in Deerfield to support everything that they do in Deerfield. Their taxes are just higher, so maybe they look at it that way. I'm not sure, but it is one of the premier destinations in downtown Mason area. I mean, people are dying to get in there, so.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. Anyway, but no, it's a beautiful, beautiful place, and I'm really happy that we can play a small part in improving it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, call the roll.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spade?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
No.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Okay, and Councilmember Stricula, did you have more? Okay.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Just one more item, if I may. And how much time do I have left, Jennifer? Excellent. Thank you. This deals with sewer rates, which is everyone's second favorite topic besides rock salt. We were able to, in the past, we've done a really good job. We were able to pay off some of the sewer debt, or all of the sewer debt. I apologize. So that's allowed for allowed for an opportunity for us to review the rates that we're charging our residents. So we have, based off of our conversation today, we've hired will hire a consultant to come in to tell us what those rates should be for the future, to allow us to kind of set something up as we move forward, so we don't have a lot of movement in that. And the good news is, and this is why I want to do this last, is that we're pretty optimistic that it's going to be a modest decrease in prices. So we're looking forward to that.
All right, great. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mark, would you like to give the Veterans Committee update? Or I can. You don't.
I don't have any notes on it, so.
Okay,
if you've
that's
got
fine.
That would be better.
Yeah,
But I can ad lib if you need.
Okay, that's fine. No, so we've been working diligently on the Gold Star Family Monument that we're going to display for Veterans Day in November, correct? It's Veterans Day. No, I'm sorry, Memorial Day.
We're going to shoot for Memorial Day, but we're having trouble getting the piece
Right.
granted in, so we've delayed it. Our goal was originally this Veterans Day. That's not going to be possible. So now we're shooting for Memorial Day. Could be Veterans Day next year.
Okay, well, we're trying to get it out there. But, it's really great because Jennifer actually sent it to a designer who decided that, it's probably good to have a whole separate area. And so we're going to have the Veterans Memorial as it is, with a whole separate area for the Gold Star families and for the Purple Heart recipients. So we're really expanding our our Veterans Memorial, and I think it's super exciting, and I'm super excited to see what it's going to look like in the next year. We're redoing a lot of the landscaping to make it, to beautify it, and I think it's just going to be phenomenal, and I'm very excited. So that is our update. I don't know if you have anything to...
I would like to add a couple things if I can, Mayor.
Yes, you good. Are you finished, though? Because, are you
Yes.
finished with your time? Okay, yes. Okay.
So one of the things that we're doing as part of that is they're going to do like the other areas of the Veterans Memorial or Veterans Monument out there, where they're going to have the bricks that can be sold with the names. And part of the discussion was possibly sectioning off one part of it so that that is just for Gold Star families and those who gave their lives in defense of our country. So that'll be really neat. And then right across from that is where the Purple Heart Memorial will be. So that'll be, or not memorial, I guess it's monument. That's a good word. Thank you. So, and that's going to make that whole area just one nice cohesive area to honor some very special veterans. So, thanks.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to item 18, which is old and new business. Does anyone have any old and new business?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Hackey.
if I may. Couple of things. As we know, Music in Mason just finished up the weekend before last, and then obviously we had the Southwest Ohio Philharmonic this past weekend, as well as Red Rhythm and Boom was mixed in the middle of all of that. And I would just like to give one final shout out to staff, especially Dan. I went to all but one of the Music in Mason events, and he was there every time, working it like a madman, and just made sure that it was an awesome event. I know you mentioned some numbers were pretty amazing for that. So again, I just want to pass along my thanks for all of the hard work to make that a huge success for our city. Additionally, I want to send a shout out to the folks at the Legion who have been supporting all of these events with us as well. They're volunteers coming out to serve the beverages and doing all the work to make that a success as well. One other thing, another thank you to go out to the MAID Community Development Corporation, the MAID CDC. You guys hit the ground running, and I'm very impressed with all the work you guys are doing so far, and looking forward to seeing how that's going to manifest into just some great stuff happening for our city. So thank you for all of your efforts. Last thing I have is just a quick question and maybe a comment for our residents. In driving around this summer through town and even in other areas, I've noticed a lot of people blowing their grass clippings into the roadway, and many of them leaving them there. I don't know if there's any kind of an ordinance against that, but I do know that's extremely dangerous for motorcycles. So at the very least, I would like to make a plea to our residents to make sure that if they do end up blowing some of the clippings out into the roadway, that they please make an effort to get them out, so we don't have any motorcyclists getting caught in that and losing traction, because they're only on two wheels, and it's very easy to do. So that's what I have. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Hackey. Councilmember Grossman, yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, Mr. Hackey had some of the same thank yous that I did. I wanted to compliment Dan Chambers. Just great job. The concerts did rock, and when I first came to council that first year, we did it the way we had for a long, long time, where we had a concert in the middle of the park, and that was it, kind of in the middle of the field, and maybe a couple dozen people would come. And so we came up with this idea, and Mayor Spaeth was on my committee at that time, the downtown committee, and we worked with some downtowners, and we moved it to downtown at a regular time, and now hundreds, if not thousands of people attend regularly, and it's really, really fun. So we're really proud of Dan. I always joke and call him a planning ninja, but he really is. So he did a good job. And I also wanted to thank the Legion. Apparently had about 40,000 in sales from Red Rhythm and Boom. Is that what I remember from the memo? So that's fantastic. And the Mason Challenger League worked really hard selling wristbands and water bottles and sold almost $25,000 at Red Rhythm and Boom just in one night, raising money for our community, which is just awesome. And there were other volunteers from the Mason High School math team, the Science Olympiad, and Mason Softball, and the Faith World Outreach Center. So we're really thankful for that. Really impressed with our police department and our new accreditation. And I did not recognize Chief Dyer when I came in. I thought, who is that beautiful woman I just passed? She must just be a new guest. I've never seen her out of uniform. She looks so professional and so ready for the challenge of being chief during her time. So really proud of Chief Dyer and all of our officers. Lastly, I'd like to just comment, circle back around. I'd like to host a committee meeting. How about my Parks and Community Committee, and talk more about what we can do with legislation. I'm very sad that council members weren't more familiar with Chapter 125 and some of the representations made about that today. And I'm very sad that we could not be flexible and make amendments so that we could protect the public more effectively. And I'll keep fighting for you. I'm outnumbered, obviously, but I'll keep fighting. And I'll do it as gently but as persistently as I can. And we'll work on a new piece of legislation to protect you in our real estate transactions on both sides of the equation. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I just want to say, again, everyone's already hit on this, but the concert with the Southwest Ohio Philharmonic was really, really great, and it was a really good turnout. Kyle Anderson, who is a firefighter, was the head of the incident command team for that, so I want to say a big thank you to him. It's a lot of work. And also they had a youth orchestra play before the main orchestra played. It was the Northern Cincinnati Youth Orchestra, and I think that's really exciting to see the youth get involved with that, and probably one day will be a part of the bigger the older orchestra. And I do want to say thank you again to our police department for their accreditation. I wish Carly was still here, our acting chief, but that is just, I want you to make sure you let them know that all of council is really proud of them for that. I don't know, I may have missed it, but I just want to make sure everyone knows about the public forum coming up on August 22nd. If you want to, can you just mention that? Make sure everyone knows about that. There is a public forum. Well, that you announce it.
It's a Arts and Culture Committee meeting that is encouraging the public, specifically residents in the area of the Gould property, to come and talk about the proposed arts development. It's more a listening session to hear what type of concerns, what type of interests, and what type of suggestions may be. So the committee is hosting it. It is announced as a committee meeting. But the public is certainly invited. It'll be held on the Plaza, August 22nd, 6 to 7 p.m.
And I had the question, what happens if it rains? And I was reminded there is a tent out there, so I guess it's rain or shine, right? Okay.
Mayor?
I think that's all I have. Did you have something else you want to add?
Well, just a question about having it out on the plaza. Will there be like a PA or anything for people so they can hear well? It might be difficult for people to hear the discussion.
Yes, the intent was to have a sound system to.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else have anything for old new business? Okay, we are to item 19, recognition of visitors. Anyone want to come to the podium and talk about anything you're thinking about? Nobody wants to. Okay, item 20, executive session for acquisition and disposition of property. I need a motion to adjourn into executive session for the, I got the wrong thing down here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dan, that's okay. For the employment compensation of public employees. And I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This probably won't take long if you're interested in staying until we come back out. Thank you.
That's good news, maybe.
Okay, I need a motion to reconvene into regular session.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, I believe there's going to be a motion. Councilmember Grossman?
Council, I make the motion to increase our city manager's pay by 3% merit increase and add a 9% bonus.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
We need individual roll call?
It's fine.
Okay, was there anyone opposed? Okay, all right, I think that's passed, so we are now to, I just need a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Second.
Okay.
Eric's
Everyone in
fine.
favor? All right.